Hi everyone, it's Emily Francis with Oh My Malta, and today we're visiting the home of Husky Beer with two local brewers right here, Jean Bickel and Miguel Camilleri. And you guys started Husky Beer how long ago?
We started brewing in 2017. That was when we were still home brewing at Miguel's parents' house actually. In 2018 we rented out this space. It was just a shell property. We did it all up ourselves, from the drains, the electricity, everything. We brought in the tanks. It took us about a year and a half to do that. And midway to 2019, we started brewing on the new equipment and launched our products on the market around November, December 2019.
Okay, let's back this up because people that are making beer usually have some sort of background in science, which you do. So let's give a little bit of your background so people understand that you really were good at following this recipe and making your own. So give me a little bit of that history so people know what hands these are passing through.
Yes, sure. So Miguel and I are both nuclear medicine physicists. Miguel is also a warranted engineer, so that really helped a lot when it came to setting up the entire premises to prepare to actually be a functioning brewery. We fell in love in beer when we used to work together in Leeds, in the UK.
In the UK, okay.
That was where we discovered this new scene of craft beer, which wasn't really present in Malta before. And when we came back, we just decided that, listen, we can't live our lives without beer anymore. So we started making our own. And that passion kept on developing into a business that we love today.
I'm going to ask the really basic question. Please forgive me, but I'm hoping other people have this. What is craft beer? What defines making something craft beer?
Okay, so a craft beer is a beer which has been produced using artisanal methods,
okay,
in small batches, and generally using very high quality ingredients.
And here's what I love. This is why we're showcasing Husky in particular, local. Brewed locally, made locally, with our local Maltese loves right here. So just quickly introduce me to the different kinds, and then we're going to take a tour of how these came to be.
The first beer we ever brewed is called Alpha. It's an IPA. Every craft beer brewery is going to have an IPA amongst the range. This beer is actually a West Coast style IPA, which goes back to what IPAs were originally. And it's the beer we love to drink, so we decided to start from that beer. And then we decided that for the local market, we would go for a more simple craft beer. And that's Mosaic. It's a single malt, single hop pale ale. We then introduced a low alcohol beer, which is 4%, and we call this Babyface. This was brewed in 2020. It was the first beer for 2020, which was the new face of Husky. And it was our baby in terms of alcohol, so that's where the name came from. Then we decided to try something different, and we went for an oak-aged American pale ale.
Okay.
This beer came about just because we wanted to try something, experiment with a different process, whereby we got these whiskey chips, put them inside the fermentation tank,
oh, wow,
so that the beer can extract the flavor of the oak from the whiskey barrel chips. And our latest beer is the stout. We called it Chaos. We've just released this just a few months ago.
So I'm holding in my hands barley, and we're going to see it in the bag as well. But here's what I find really fascinating, and why you guys say Malta in a bottle. That's how you describe this. But you can't actually make any of these ingredients local. Why?
So it's the weather in Malta doesn't allow us to grow hops, for example, which is one of the main ingredients in making beer. We don't have fields large enough which can sustain the growth for barley required. We could use foreign water, but that's not really sustainable, is it?
No.
So what we do is we use local water, we pass it through a process of filtration, and we create a different water profile for each beer that we're going to make. So we then add the salts and minerals that we want to have, which will determine the flavor and the taste for the beer.
That's incredible. So you said something to me that I think is really important, that the hardest thing to do is make it.
Yeah, so brewing beer is an entire process. It's very scientific, and it brings about all the different elements of sourcing your ingredients, the tanks that you're using. It all comes together into one long process.
And you had to do it according to government guidelines. I mean, choosing to do this in Malta is it's a labor of love.
Yes, yes.
A true labor.
In fact, when we're getting our authorization, we had to work very closely with the authorities because to them, a small microbrewery isn't something normal. They're used to much bigger stuff, but we managed to make it.
I think that's fantastic. So now we're going to meet with Miguel, and he's going to take us on a tour of how the beer gets made. So I have two different kinds of malt in my hands, one for a light beer and one for a heavier?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see it.
So this is our malt room. This is where we keep all our malt, which ranges from the lightest malt, which is the Pilsen malt. This is used to make very light colored beers. And then before we start what we call the meshing during brewing, we have to mill them into smaller fragments. And this is our mill. The next step would be to fill our brew house with water. And we put the malts we milled earlier into the brew house to mesh, so to start making our beer. Then the process moves into the boiling, where we take out our malt and boil the sugary substance, which we call wort. And we boil it for an hour, and then we cool it down and ferment it into our tanks. And that's where we pitch our yeast for the fermentation process to begin. These are our fermentation tanks. It's where we put our beer for around 2 weeks for the fermentation to complete. And recently we also acquired unitanks, which are better for our production to be quicker.
Be looking for Husky Beer at the Taste of Joy Festival at Vincent's Eco Farm, Saturday, March 11th from 11 to 5. The festival is free of charge and open to the public to celebrate my book and all the people that made it possible. Come and buy beer while you're there and some to take home. All right, let's have some beer. So now we're going to try the Alpha, the original, the IPA beer. Cheers. It tastes really clean. It tastes really good. You should come and try some for yourself.